Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I am super excited because I have finished stitching down and creating the first of two wall hangings on which I have mounted my various Roxy Journal of Stitchery down the garden path pieces. So I wanted to share them with you because if you've seen previous videos you would have seen where I'd pieced together the backing of the wall hanging onto this lovely vintage bedspread. Which I'd cut up because it did have some stains on it. But it has this lovely floral design. It's a shame in a way that the floral design is not showing through here. It will actually show through on some parts of the other piece, so that will be nice. But this is a darker piece, and I have actually covered the back entirely with fabric. But I have finished stitching it all down. All those horrible pins are gone. I just can't tell you how many times I poked my fingers with pins. So I'm so happy to have all the pins gone, and I basically just worked from the top all the way down to the bottom, just getting all the pieces of fabric stitched flat. Because it's such a large piece, as you will see, it was a bit of a challenge. So there were times I had it sort of propped over the top of the couch and then hanging down the other side and sort of dangling over my sort of midsection, why I sort of had it tented so that I could keep the right tension on the fabric, get it all to sit flat and be stitching it with a bit of a space where I could stitch up and down because it's quite wide and it's definitely very long. So we'll start at this end because I'm going to be able to pull it towards me that way. So we'll start there, and at the bottom we've got the entrance to our secret garden. So up at the very front we've got little Robin here, who is a slow stitched robin. Looks like I need to put a tiny little stitch in his tail where it's popped up a little bit. And he's sitting on this sort of, I guess, mossy area with a key, and this key is from my grandpa's old key collection. So it's lovely to have that incorporated in there, and that's the key to the door of the secret garden. And then we come up through this sort of nice shady area, and so I've selected fabrics that are the darker greens all the way through the panel. I've selected fabrics that sync with the main pieces but also help to transition the pieces. So it was a really fun task actually to do all of that. So let's keep moving up. Now with any of these pieces I can do some further stitching down if I want to, but at this stage it was just getting all of the backing down, getting those pins out, and then getting the pieces stitched on. So we come up to the secret door. So that's the secret door there with the keyhole there and the lovely, so many French knots in beautiful wools here. And the door, which has actual cantha stitching all the way down. We've got dimensional vines with little leaves attached, so that was done with a garden twine. This was a piece of lace that I used to create the lattice work. I painted it. I also painted the background piece of fabric because I thought I could create the effect of bricks with moss on it. So really happy with that, how that turned out. We've got the little bird up here, and we've got a little bird's nest. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's got little eggs in it made of seed beads. So there's separate videos, sometimes a number of videos on the creation of each of the panels. So feel free to wander back through my channels if you want to see how I did any of the creations of those pieces. I've then on top of the brick wall with the lattice work, I've got some grass growing. Again, that was just colouring it up with watercolours, but watercolours that I kept quite concentrated in colour. And then all of that's, the lattice work is stitched on. So then we come up. Now I originally wasn't going to have this piece of lace across, but I ended up not quite liking where the join of the cheesecloth into this was, so I just added another layer before I stitched the piece down, just to create the effect that I wanted transitioning between the pieces. And this was a really lovely piece of lace that I'd brought away with me. It fitted perfectly, so added that in, and I folded it over, so it was quite a wide piece, but folded it over so it's got the double, almost a bit of a frill there. So that brings us up into our Peter Rabbit piece. I'll just slide it back a smidge. So this is a dimensional piece where I created the bramble hedge as though the viewer is looking through There's little fluffy tails on our Peter Rabbits. Peter Rabbit over here, the robin, again, appears in this piece. So this is a piece that has lots of the animal aspects in it, which I really like, that sort of theming. And the colours just worked really well together to transition down the piece. Got little berries, and then I did little roses all over the bramble hedge, following the pattern with little seed beads well, not seed beads, just little burgundy beads inside. Now, when I was creating the backing, one of the things I wanted to do was not have all of the pieces just being the same piece across, so sometimes alternating the elements that are on each side as well. And then up here we've got the owl from the Peter Rabbit books. We've got another little nest with gold eggs in it this time, so it looks like the owl's watching over the nest. But I just love the effect of the hedge, and I did that. Again, I created a video where I shared that as well. Travis is coming in to have a little look at what's happening with the filming. No doubt having a look what else is happening with the dinner situation. Then we come up to the most recent prompt, well, not the one that we're working on at the moment, which is sort of choose our own adventure. Or what they'd originally thought they were going to do was a picnic or a tea party. So I'll come back to that because I do have an idea for what I want to incorporate for that original, what would have been the original prompt, as well as what I'm going to do for the choose my own adventure. So I've got these bird houses. I'll probably do just some embellishment on these, either here if I've got the right colour threads. I might even add some little buttons for the little doors on the bird houses, but I incorporated that element. I already had all my panels and I thought it'd be just really cute here, and I kind of like that my little cat down here is looking across to the bird houses, but he's watching out for the birds. He's not planning anything naughty. Then we come up into some beautiful floral panels on either side, and where I've done my ribbon embroidery. I'll just slide it back a smidgeroo. So I've got tulips in yellow and burgundy and pinks, and then all sorts of French knot flowers, some more flowers with ribbon embroidery, some perle thread painting, a rose done in ribbon embroidery, beautiful beaded centres to some of the flowers, a big sunflower with a beaded centre, more thread painting, and then all the cats have been done in really intricate thread painting. So again, there's plenty of videos about those pieces as I created them. I had this gorgeous little lace work, I think it's called filet work, I think, butterfly that has been in my little case of special laces, so I really wanted to add him in. I'm actually thinking I possibly should have put him a bit further over, but I think I'll do just a little bit of lace coming across so it sort of just draws the eye across, not at the same level as this one, just again to sort of give the eye a bit of interest as it looks across. Love this fabric as well, so nice to have the two. I just love that this yellow and reds just draws in the colours, and having the rose fabric with these lovely roses. Again, these are thread painted cats, just adore them. I love touching them as well, they just feel great. The seat is also thread embellished with a beautiful grey perle. I think that I might have used the grey razzle dazzle for that, I think. It's got a nice thickness and shine to it. Just adore these. A lot of these were done with razzle dazzle or variegated thread. Hey Martha, us of the Variegated Anonymous, but with no plans to stop using variegated thread. Another lovely bit of lace across here. Lots of beading and French knots to create these flowers as we then head into the Moonlit wildflower garden. So using this piece of lace across here to transition up between the reds and the brighter colours as we go then into the Moonlit garden, where you still have the vibrant colour, but it's like the moonlight is illuminating the plants that would really illuminate, so the whites and the pinks and the even the sort of lighter mauvey, bluey colours. And so I've been able to use these gorgeous fabrics that are synthetics from the Reverse Art truck. And I'm just so happy to have been able to use these pieces because they're just truly gorgeous. But I probably wouldn't have been using them in other slow stitches. So they do have a bit more difficulty in working with them, a bit more challenging to stitch them down straight. I actually had to unpick the top bit of this one because it just wasn't sitting right. We've got my beautiful path, beautiful beaded piece here. And then we come up into our lake with the mountains and then the moon glistening in the sky. And so I think when I was laying this out, I actually had this piece over here, but I decided that I wanted to have a title up here, either across here. We'll see how we're going to lay it out. That's something we're going to do together now. But yeah, I decided to put the bunny, which matches actually with this fabric that's down here and heavily embellished. The fabric also had this gorgeous little bunny on it, so really happy to have that in play as well. And then we just come up to what reminds me of a sort of stars when you're looking at them and the sky is just sort of full of stars, stylized stars, I guess. So yeah, just adore the little bunny piece and really happy. And it's got the sort of lantern, so I feel like she's looking out and looking down on the piece. So I'm just going to feed it back up a little bit. And then we might need to just adjust the camera because I want to work then on the title piece for it. So I'm just trying to not put myself in camera. You don't need to see me. Hopefully that's worked. And then I'm just going to move the camera, so close your eyes for a moment if you don't like watching moving. Still moving you, don't open your eyes yet. Just twist you like that. Okay. You can open your eyes now. I can slide it down a smidge. So I'm thinking I will put the title, I was thinking in here, and what I'm planning to do is today I've just created, once we got the choose your own adventure prompt, I've created these little hexagons using a lovely fabric. Have I still got the fabric out over here? Yes, I have. So it's a fabric I've had for a while in my stash, but it's just got a really nice little pattern that reminds me of, could be snowflakes, but also little plants. And I thought that would be great to create some little paving stones. And that's what I've done here, using my little hexagon, Eppiflex hexagon molds. These have still got glue that you just rinse the glue off. You can even put them through the washing machine, but I just give them a rinse and they're perfect. But I'm going to create a down the garden path on this side, and then the other wall panel will have of my mind's eye. So I've got down, and they do even go together. I could do it that way, but I think I'm going to space them out a bit more. And then I've got path, which I thought we could work on together here. So I've stitched using this lovely vintage gold and black wrap thread for those. But I thought I'll show you the technique for how I've been stitching, creating my hexagons using the Eppiflex template, and then how I've been approaching the stitching, just so I minimise the need to thread and unthread and tie, etc. So I'd written my letters because I find it easier to stitch to a template using my friction marker pen. And the great thing is, if you don't get them quite right, you can just erase it with an iron, a hairdryer, or as I discovered today, I could have gone and got the hairdryer out of the drawer. I haven't been drying my hair this week, but I just used actually the kettle, electric kettle here, and used the steam from it to to erase them. And the great thing is the steam also loosens up the glue, because I just use Yoo-hoo glue. It's an affordable way to do paper piecing. Well, in this case, Eppiflex piecing. So we have to first decide how we want our pieces to look. Do I want them all up here? I was thinking, because I had the black down there, it might not be a bad idea to sort of bring it down a little bit. Could even, but then I want to kind of, I think it's nice to have the sort of the ups and downs lining up a bit. Which I don't know if that would mean I would need to. It looks a smidge crooked, but I'm sure it's just how it's sitting. Sometimes they get a little bit misshapen. It's always good to give them an iron before you fully place them. There is an iron here. That's quite nice, unless I want to just have them all sitting up in this area. Could even actually start them over here. That could work. And then I could always think to put something else down here if I wanted to. Decisions are the worst, as Rachel would say, but they're actually kind of fun too. Pondering. I think I'll take it down here, because it does just nicely fill up that area. Kind of then looks like the petals, because it is sort of matching in with that colour, so I don't mind that. Don't mind that at all. It's just, we're almost just a little bit. I think that'll be good actually, and I think I'll just leave this, because it can just then kind of be like the sky out there. So if anything, I might even angle this up a smidge more. Okay, so we've got a plan. I'm not going to stitch that down now, because again, it will be that really, because it's such a big panel, I don't think I'd be able to do that on camera without knocking you. So I'm just going to show you how I approach the task of stitching these together. So I use a technique where, and you can see this in one of the other videos, I'll link it. I add some Yoo-hoo glue once I've cut out my little bits of fabric. I just cut around the outside of the template, leaving enough of a margin to fold over, and you can kind of see the amount of margin. So I cut around. The great thing with this is you can actually position it over the fabric. So I was always positioning it over the center of each of these little clusters, and then cut around. I then apply some Yoo-hoo glue just to the outside by just running my fabric around the top of the Yoo-hoo glue. And then I quickly move around and fold down all the pieces. And then I start to, I just get some regular, I think this is a regular polyester white thread. And I just do a very quick thread basting, because I find that it does just hold everything a bit more securely while working with it. Now I don't do a knot for the first one. So let's say we were here, which we are. So I'm going to just put the two sides together. And what I've been doing is actually stitching them together and then just giving them a quick thread basting. You can do it in either order, really. I just want to have the threads, thread basting done before I pop the molds out, because I find it just helps to hold them in place. So I'm just going to do a range of stitches, and all I'm doing is capturing the fabric at the two sides, but not obviously piercing the template. And the great thing is, because they're quite they're solid but bendable templates, you can't actually put your needle through them. So I have heard that when you're using paper for English paper piecing, there is a risk that you actually end up stitching it in and then have to deal with that. So I actually want to just capture that end. I was meaning to do that actually. I usually just stitch over my end just to hold it securely. You can just do a little knot at the end as well, but I'll be going around anyway with the thread basting, which will hold it in place. Look like I've been in the wars on my finger. I don't even know how I did that, but puddling around, I suppose, in the sea with Travis the dog. He's an amazing smeller, I have to tell you, Travis. The other day at the beach, we were walking along, and I like to pick up rocks and shells and have a good look at them. And some of them like if I find a nice rock, I might decide to keep it, a nice little rock. But anyway, I'd picked up this shell, I'd looked at it, had this really interesting sort of side, and it was all pearlescent, but just threw it back onto the beach, and we continued on our way. Sorry, I'll just interrupt the story. So now that I've done that stitching there, I'm just going to do a little thread knot to hold that seam in place. So just pass my needle through it, and then I'm going to baste around the shape by just doing double stitches at each of the corners, so capturing the two bits of fabric and just doing a second stitch in this exact same spot, and then I'll just keep doing that all the way around. So yeah, back to the story. We were walking along, I'd just thrown down this piece of shell. Travis wasn't near me at that time, he was actually down in the waves. So we then continued to walk around, right around this cove, all the way to the other end where there's a sort of a rocky beach. The rest of the beach is beautiful sand. Stayed down there. Travis had a gallop in the waves, and then we continued our way back around where we had come. And Travis he's just sniffing all the time. Anyway, he is ahead of us a little bit, and I see that he just stops dead in his tracks, and then he's actually digging into the sand while sniffing like crazily, and just digging. And I think in the process he's actually slightly burying the particular shell that I had actually picked up. So he found it with his smell, and I can only assume, because I actually had this little cut, and this is the reason I've got the Band-Aid on my finger. I had a little cut over here, like not a bad cut, but it was just still slightly open and possibly slightly sort of a little bit weepy. I can only assume that in holding the shell in my hand, some of that smell had come off on it, and he is digging madly in the soil, in the sand, to unearth the bit of shell that he can smell with my scent on it. So it was just amazing that he was able to locate something that he didn't even know was there, because he hadn't seen me actually put it down, and just with his sense of smell, it was absolutely incredible. So he's a very good little sniffer. And then at the time I didn't actually take it with me, but the next day we found it on the beach. I found it the next day because I knew where I'd sort of thrown it down. But I was kind of amazed. So I know there's some programs. It's one of the other guide dog families who had some adopted guide dogs. They had their dog in a little program where it does like little smelling activities and things, because apparently they love it, they enjoy it. So I thought I might need to look into that. So I've done the thread basting all the way around, and I'll just do a little knot to hold it at the end. There we go. And then we get to take out the Eppiflex templates. So I leave them until this stage, till they're all stitched together. And what I like to do is just do the stitching in sort of one go if I can, where I'm stitching each of the seams and then stitching around them. And then only at that point, once they're stitched around and stitched together, taking out the templates. So what I'm using is just a blunt needle, and I'm just running around just to loosen. Normally at home I'd also give these an iron, but I haven't got the iron out, so I'm just going to loosen them this way. The first one's always the trickiest to remove, but in fact it's come out very easily, and if it does pop out at all, that's why you have the glue basting and the thread basting. It just means it pops back into shape. So we just go around and we loosen. When you give it that steam iron, it just really loosens up. And so then I just run my needle under the template as well, just all around. And then I hold it with the end, the bit that's already come out, and pull the Eppiflex template out. There we go, second one done. And then we do the next one. And we do the next one like that. Around there. Just standing up at the kitchen bench here, so you might have heard Alex walking in. I think Travis is thinking, where's his dinner preparation happening? But I don't think it's quite dinner time yet. For him, he'd happily have, Travis the dog would happily have dinner many times a day, at any time of the day. Maybe the beach air is making him extra hungry. I did find that myself the first few days I was here. It's like, oh, I'm starving, I'm the hungry caterpillar. I think it's just probably not used to, we get a fair bit of exercise at home. I take Travis out 3 times a day. But yeah, I think beach walks, you just walk further because you're just really enjoying the experience. Sending out a cheerio to Gail from one of the op shops here. We were chatting in the op shop. She was wondering what I was buying all the things for, and now she's found me on. I gave her my YouTube and gave her the details of Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. She said she's a bit of a keen crafter, and she looked me up on YouTube, and lovely to make her YouTube acquaintance, as well as her in-person op shop acquaintance as well. So with these, you just tuck them back and they go back into shape. I was a bit timid the first time I started doing these, but you can be as rough as you want, and they work fine. So that's that stage, and now we'll do a quick little bit of embroidery. And what I like to do is do the embroidery all in one go, so that rather than stopping and having to tie off and unthread, I just work all the way across. Now, if it was a see-through fabric, you might not be able to do that because you might start to see the threads. But yeah, this will be fine because it's being stitched down onto background anyway. With your, particularly with your metallic threads, this one's actually really good in that it doesn't do that thing where it kind of all disintegrates. But with your metallic threads, you'd probably want to go with a quite short length. Generally, you want to go from there to the inside of your elbow, so from the tip of your finger to the inside of your elbow, and not any further than that. And I'd like to use a relatively large needle with a large head so that it's not particularly dragging as it goes through the fabric. I think this one should be okay. Let's give it a go. Not sure if that's the one I was using before or not. So I'm just going to tie, rather than tying the knot the other way where you'd move the knot all the way down, again, just with metallics, it's best to just tie the knot at the very end. So you're just creating less drag on your fabric. Less drag on your thread. So again, these are drawn on with the friction marker, so apply heat at the end and any of the black ink that's showing will come out. As I say, I did that once because a couple of my letters, I'd actually drawn them on before I stitched them together, and a couple just looked a bit skew if once they were stitched together. And so I'm just doing a back stitch where you go forward with a stitch, and then with something like this I'll actually then go further forward and then come back and join the previous stitch. You can sort of just leave a little gap and then come up right next to it, but I'd much prefer not to be constantly unthreading or splitting my threads. So I'll use a little bit more, but I'm always just going forward and then coming back, unless in this case, so I've gone back there now, my next stitch I can then start from where the thread was, because that's not, I won't unthread it because I'd already done the step back, if that makes sense. So again, I'm going to go forward, and then I'm going to go forward another step and then come back. And because I've done the back step, then the next step I can go forward again from that same hole, because it won't unthread, because the previous step was a back step. So that's the P done. And then I'm just going to go across, and if you want to, you can just pick up a couple of little bits of fabric on the way. You don't want to pull it too tight. And then I'm just going to start my A. So much quicker than doing these sort of separately before you stitch them together. Less wear as well on your metallic thread. And it's just, yeah, much quicker than doing all individually and tying off and then rethreading, and you'd end up wasting more thread as well, I think, because you never kind of cut something that will be exactly what you need for the piece. But I like it because it's got that sort of glitteriness that goes well with the night sky that's up here. So I'm really happy with this, how this piece has come together. I've got my other wall hanging piece here. Haven't done any work on it apart from it's all pinned down from when I brought it here. So it's got all its fabric. So I guess tomorrow I can start work on that, or even tonight actually in front of the TV. And I'm very excited because I've got this beautiful piece of applique at home that's a little, like a little picnic basket. And so given that the original prompt that the girls were planning to do, that Rachel and Sarah were planning, was a picnic or a little tea party, I thought that's the perfect opportunity to bring it in, because they've now given us choose your own adventure, but it's kind of nice to do the prompt that they planned. That way I feel like it's a complete project. Although obviously we can all do as we please, but yeah, I definitely was hoping for a little picnic prompt, so I'm gonna take that as given and do that as well. Whether it goes on this piece or possibly the other piece, because the other piece has the garden party panel in it. So I think that might be a good addition to that. I'll just have to have a look at the colours and see where it might fit in down the side of the panel, because even with this one I'm planning to add some further embellishments. This is really just the I guess it's not the start. I mean, yeah, I don't know, it's a finishing, and it could just remain like this, but I think that it's going to be fun to continue to add some other laces, other beading. I've even got a lovely bit of black beading that I'll probably try and fit in somewhere up in this section that I got from my recent Silk and Stitch package. It's been great to see Valita and Corinne. They both bought packages from Silk and Stitch after I had, and yeah, they're just thrilled with their hauls of goodies, which makes me really happy. Such a wonderful shop for recycling sort of offcuts of bridal wear, and it's sort of dead stock bridal fabric, so fabric sort of at the end of their their use by mainstream, I guess, bridal makers. And then, yeah, getting the offcuts, but really sizable, very decent sized offcuts or remnants. It's just fabulous. And some of the pieces that, yeah, the other ladies have got, just absolutely gorgeous. I love everything that I got as well. Definitely one that if you are, yeah, after some materials to incorporate into your slow stitch, if you've got some friends, you could go in together, because you get just so much gorgeousness that there's plenty to share around. So that brings me to my thank you to my subscribers, and so the little competition that I'm going to be running. So what you need to do if you'd like to be in the running for a bespoke box of delicious fabric and other stitchery goodies picked out by me from my collection is below this video in the comments. You need to write the word treasure as part of your comment. So the word treasure, Treasure, treasure. And then you'll be in the running, which in a week's time, I will draw out from anyone that has put treasure in the comments below this video. So you need to be a subscriber, and you need to write the word treasure. And then what I'll be doing when I draw it out is I'll put a reply to the comment of the person that is the successful winner of it. And I'll ask them to get in contact with me at a special email address. So keep an eye out for your comments. I'll also be verifying the identity of that person, that it aligns, that when I get that email, that it does align with their YouTube person. So I've got a method of doing that. So all you have to do to be in the running is put in a comment below this video with the word treasure. Let me see if I've got a piece of paper. I'll write it down just in case you are struggling to hear. So this is the word to include in your comment, treasure. Let me bring that up. Treasure. So there we go. That is the competition. So a week from now, so what's today? Thursday. So let's do it through till Friday Australian time of next week. So I haven't got the date in here, but a week from now, and I'll then be drawing it out from anyone that has put the word treasure in their comments below this video. So thanks for watching. I'll go away and I'll stitch down my Down the Garden Path label. You can hear Travis, he is doing circuits around because he is like at his dinner time. So stop filming, Mum. So please do enter. I'm really looking forward to creating a special bespoke box of goodies, and the reason I've selected the word treasure is because of the upcoming Roxy Journal of Stitchery treasure hunt project, and I would love to see someone who's taking part in that or someone else who's into slow stitching, because that's what the box is really intended for, to create a pack of wonderful goodies, and I'll send that anywhere in the world where I'm able to send things to. So yeah, please do enter. I'm not going to be promoting it in the title of this video, so if you've been watching this video this far, then definitely put in your comment, make sure you're subscribing, give me a like, and we will go from there. Take care everyone, bye.